An MIT Ph.D. student recently revealed that he can mathematically predict his final exam questions before he even sees the syllabus. I thought he was lying. Then he walked me through his exact architecture. He doesn't wait for the course to start. He doesn't highlight textbook. He uses Google's NotebookLM to build a custom training dataset of how the professor's brain works. He maps the pattern. He identifies the gap. By the time the syllabus drops, he has already mapped 80% of the exam, while the other students are burning their cognitive bandwidth trying to memorize the material. He is analyzing the behavior of the system itself. Before I give you the exact 4-prompt engineering sequence to turn NotebookLM into a predictive engine for your next corporate certification, board interview, or executive assessment, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor market using cold, hard logic. You do not want to miss these blueprints. We are going to take this MIT academic framework and weaponize it for 2026 corporate professional. If you are studying by reading a book from front to back, you're playing a game designed for losers. Grab a notebook. It is time to stop studying what you are given and start studying how the system behaves. Welcome back, I'm Dr. HR. To understand why my approach to the learning and professional development is aggressively different from standard academic advice, you must understand my underlying architecture. I hold a PhD in human resources, alongside a bachelor's in computer engineering and a master's from TISS. When you navigate the high-stakes environment of legal frameworks, financial modeling, or advanced corporate HR, the volume of data is catastrophic. If you try to brute force your way through a Lean Six Sigma certification or a CFA exam by reading every single page, you will run out of the time and fail. Operating here in Dubai and consulting for Apex operators, I see professionals spending hundreds of hours studying the wrong variable. The MIT students' methodology is not about studying harder, it is about deploying a retrieval augmented system, RAG tools, like NotebookLM. To execute a value stream mapping of your cognitive load, you eliminate the waste, the noise, and focus entirely on the high probability nodes, the signal. Let us break down the exact algorithmic pipeline to predict the test, bypass the syllabus, and completely dominate the evaluation system. Phase 1. The dataset architecture, building the corpus. The fatal mistake 99% of professionals make is waiting for the authority figure to give them the parameter. You wait for the professor to hand you the syllabus, you wait for the HR department to hand you the interview prep guide, you wait for the certification board to tell you what to read. You are letting them control the constraint of the preemptive strike. Before day 1 of your preparation, you must build your own isolated training dataset. NotebookLM is a highly specialized AI tool developed by Google. Unlike ChatGPT, which searches the entire noisy internet, NotebookLM only reads the exact document you upload into it. It becomes an absolute closed-loop expert on your specific data. Build the corpus. You do not just upload the textbook, you upload the historical behavior of the system. 1. The historical proofs. You upload 10 to 15 past exam papers, past interview transcript, or historical case study from exact certification board or company. 2. The core exam. You upload the core foundational textbook or operational manuals. 3. The edge cases. You throw in 3 or 4 recent field research paper or quarterly earning reports related to the subject. Most candidates never do this. By simply uploading these documents into a single NotebookLM vault, you have already built a structural model of how the subjects get tested in reality rather than how it is taught in theory. Phase 2. The pattern recognition prompt. Now that the machine holds the data, we do not ask it to summarize. Summarization is a low-level cognitive task for amateurs. We want structural intelligence. You execute the first prompt. Prompt 1. The pattern extraction. Analyze all uploaded historical exam papers against the core textbook. Do not summarize the concept. What exact pattern exists in how this subject is examined? Identify the structural skeleton of the evaluation. The engineering logic. When you run this, the NotebookLM stops acting like a textbook and start acting like a forensics data analyst. It will summarize things that your biological brain is too exhausted to see. It will tell you the concept A, value stream mapping, reappears every single year, but it is always disguised as a supply chain bottleneck. Next, the examiner recycles a specific multi-variable format when testing financial risk regulations. Next, topic X and topic Y are never tested in isolation. They are always paired together in a crisis management scenario. You are no longer looking at the subject, you're looking at the source code of the examiner's brain. You have mapped the exact algorithmic tendencies of the people grading you. Phase 3, the gap analysis, predicting the future. Once you have the pattern, you must make the move that makes the game completely unfair. You must predict what is coming next. Exams, corporate board interviews, and high-level certification operate on a rotation cycle. Evaluators do not repeat last year's exact questions because that makes the test too easy. But they never change the underlying structural idea because those ideas are foundation of the discipline. You execute the second prompt too, the predictor, cross-referencing, the historical testing pattern with the core textbook data. Identify the gap, what high-value foundational concept exist in the core material that have not been tested in the last 2 cycles, but mathematically should be due for the rotation. The engineering logic. This is where the predictions comes from. The AI will look at the timelines. It will realize that while corporate governance was tested heavily in 2024 and 2025, the underlying mechanics of the merger and acquisition debt restructuring haven't been touched since 2023. Despite being a massive focus in the uploaded textbook, it flags the gap. It tells you exactly what the examiner is going to pivot to in order to surprise the candidate. But you are not surprised, you have calculated the rotation. Phase 4, synthetic execution and the feedback loop. You have the patterns, you have the predicted gaps. Now you force the machine to build the simulation. Prompt 3, the simulation generator. Generate 20 high probability, high difficulty exam questions based entirely on the identified historical patterns and predicted gaps. Match the exact tone, complexity, and format of the past paper. Do not provide the answers yet. When NotebookLM spit these out, they do not look like a generic practice question you find on a study blog. They look like a real, terrifying, actual exam questions. The Socratic execution. You spend the next few hours in a brutal, isolated environment solving these synthetic problems against the source material. You execute the labor. But you do not stop there. When you get an answer wrong, you do not just memorize the correct answer. You execute the final, most critical prompt of the sequence. Prompt 4, the root cause analysis. Here is my answer. It is incorrect. Do not just give me the right answer. Act as a hostile academic auditor. Why is my logic wrong, and what specific underlying first principle concept am I missing that caused me to make this error? Engineering logic. This is the ultimate feedback loop. The AI does not just correct your math, it corrects your cognitive architecture. It tells you that you failed the finance question not because you forgot a formula, but because your fundamental understanding of compound debt leverage is flawed. It patches the root cause of your ignorance. By the time the actual syllabus drops, or by the time the HR sends you the official interview prep guide, you have already mapped 70 to 80% of the entire system. By the day of the exam or the boardroom pitch, nothing feels new. You are just looking at slightly different version of mathematically and strategic problems you already solved 3 weeks ago. Phase 5, the corporate translation, playing a different game. This framework is not just for MIT Ph.D. student taking an academic test. This is the weapon for the 2026 corporate operator. Let us translate this into your reality. The executive board interview. If you are interviewing for a VP or a C-level role, do not just practice standard interview questions. Upload the company's last 10 quarter earnings call transcript, their annual reports, and the CEO's public letter to the shareholder into Notebook and run the pattern prompt. What are their recurring anxieties? What and operational bottlenecks the CEO brings up every quarter? Run the gap prompt. What macroeconomic threat exists in the market that the board has failed to address in these calls? You will walk into that interview and speak directly to the structural fear of the board before they even ask the question. Professional certifications. If you are sitting for a massive career-defining certification, a bar exam, an advanced finance charter, or a high-level HR protocol exam, you are competing against thousands of people who are reading the books from page 1 to page 500. They are treating the test as a test of knowledge. It is not. It is a test of the data prioritization. The professionals who studies what they are given is playing the game of the volume. The apex operator who studies how the system behaves is playing the game of leverage. Look closely at how you prepare for the high-stakes moment in your career. If you are just reading the documents provided to you, highlighting paragraphs and hoping your memory holds up under pressure, you are operating on a legacy algorithm. You are relying on biological brute force in an era of synthetic intelligence. The system, whether it is an academic institution, a corporate board, or a certification body, has a behavioral pattern. It has a source code. Upload the history, command NotebookLM to extract the structural skeleton, predict the rotation of the gaps, generate the simulation, and use the Socratic feedback loop to patch your root cause vulnerabilities. That is not studying harder. That is playing an entirely different game. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at top.